Hi guys, welcome to the Nerdvolution podcast. This is your host Todd Lancaster with the most amazing co-host that I've had so far, Drew Kirksky. Welcome, Drew.
Hey man, great to be able to join you today.
Yeah, it's excellent. So you came to me and had the idea of doing a pros and cons idea of doing the X-Men.
Yes.
All right,
Uh
do you want to explain
most
what we're doing?
well, mainly the difference between the animated series, the movies, and the comic books.
All right,
So I had a few questions for you.
all right. What's that?
First one on the list, who is your favorite X-Men and why?
Honestly, I like Gambit because he's different than all the rest. Like when we had Nikhil on, as he put it, you don't have a lot of like with the when it comes down to superheroes, you don't have a lot of people that are morally wrong, but not but to them they know they're right. So and Gambit's one of those heroes. Like okay, yeah, take Jason Todd from you know Batman. Okay, yeah, what he knows he's doing is morally wrong, but to him, yeah, he's doing it for the right reasons because he's killing all the drug dealers, killing all the criminals. Because why Batman won't do it? At the same time, you know it's morally wrong because why those people have families.
But it's
Yes,
also
he's
shutting
doing
down all the crime also at the same time.
exactly. But then there's Gambit. Okay, he does it more along the lines of okay, I'm a thief. I'm I'm charming. So I can get away with this. And basically it's okay, you think I'm charming enough. I can get away with it. So screw you, let me do me. I know it's morally wrong, but I have my own obligations. I have my own agenda. I have my own reasons.
That's pretty spot on.
Exactly.
All
But what
right.
about you, Drew?
Oh, that is tough. See, even you know this about me. I'm always have a thing for Cyclops.
Yeah.
Me personally, I feel like he hasn't really gotten the respect that he deserves until the most recent showing of X-Men 97. That was an amazing piece of artwork, and I can't wait for season 2 to come out soon.
Oh yes.
Do you have any questions?
Not that I can think of. Do you have any other questions?
So, one of my main things I was going to ask you was, did you read the comic Avengers versus X-Men?
Yes.
All right. So the part of the comic towards the end when Cyclops kills Emma Frost and obtains the final part of the Phoenix Force, do you feel like he went a bit too far, or do you think he had every right to do so to become the
I think he
Phoenix?
honestly, in my opinion, I think he went a little too far because from what I remember in reading that, spoilers for anybody who has not read the comic, obviously, they made it where he killed Charles,
He did kill Charles Xavier, yes.
his own father figure. Which
Yes.
the funny thing is, before this pot, we did this episode. Actually, I went shopping with my dad earlier today. So my dad, he grew up in like the '80s, back when X-Men was the biggest thing. You know,
Yes.
so like I said, like my dad was born in '76, and back when X-Men was like the biggest thing, it was like from like '80, I would say about maybe '85 to 95. So basically, when my dad graduated high school. So me and him were talking, and I was asking him to do if he would be willing to give me some examples of pros and cons, for the X-Men. And he originally told me, it's kind of dumb, trying to compare all of them together because different continuities, because the movies don't always follow the comics always don't follow the movies, and then the TV shows never follow either. Which he has his own opinion on it, and he's correct.
I mean, the whole timeline right now is really just all here, there, and everywhere right now.
Exactly. But my dad, like I said, he had his own opinion. He had his own way about it. He is correct. It doesn't do that. So me and him pop off. And so I started talking to him about it, but he even said, like, for one of the stories, which I've heard this bounce around back and forth because I read a different story version of it, but my dad says from what he remembers from growing up is Cyclops, your favorite character, he is actually he's like Star-Lord from the movies, from the MCU. Turns out Cyclops' mom is an alien.
Correct.
Scott is, human. And then you have along the lines of, his brothers. But from the comic I remember reading and looking up into is Alex is obviously everybody should know this by now. Alex Summers, Havoc. He is the younger brother.
Correct. But in the movie, they made him older.
Exactly. Which they only did that to, put a little twist on it. Because not many people knew Havoc, but everybody knew Cyclops. That's the only reason they did that.
Yes.
But we have it where there's three Summers brothers. Nobody for the longest time knew who it was because all the powers are connected between the Summers family.
Correct.
So that's why everybody thought Gambit was. Gambit's not because no offense, but he kind of looks like a mixture of Havoc and Scott,
Yeah.
which is fair. But then you meet Gabriel 12 issues later, and Gabriel is the son of an alien warlord and Scott's mom. But
Correct.
because they said that his dad died, his dad became a space pirate.
Yes.
And
Which brings
fought
me
to get
to
the
what I
mom
was
back.
going to say. Depending on which issue you read from the 80s, Uncanny X-Men or X-Men, strip X-Men, there is hints that Cyclops' dad is Star-Lord. And
All right.
it is actually said in one of the comics that he is Star-Lord and that they died in a plane crash. But before his parents died in a plane crash, they threw the kids out of the window,
Yep.
which would make sense with what you're saying about being a space pirate, because that's pretty much what Star Lord is.
Exactly. But then they eventually admitted that his name is Nathaniel Summers.
Correct. Yes.
So like it would be cool to have it where, hey, look, Star Lord is like, a cousin or something. Through the space marriage. Like through a space
Yes.
marriage, and turns out they're related like cousins. That would be cool. But again, honestly, like I said, my dad had his thoughts on it and said that it was a lot. And so, but no, so I also have a list that I was making of, pros and cons of the X Men. And so I have a total of 16 in each. But so honestly, like in my opinion, one of the biggest cons about the whole X-Men, which don't get me wrong, I love X-Men. We all know this. Hence why we're doing the episode. But honestly, the biggest issue in my opinion with the X-Men, and this was older, I don't know if they're doing it still nowadays because I haven't really read much of the newer stuff. I've read a few things. The last time I read it was when Onslaught came into power.
Yes. They killed him off not too long ago.
Yeah, like he was starting to come into power, and then I quit reading because, of course, I don't have the money to continue buying the issue. But either way, so what happened was, um, the underage dating and the underage relationships. Like for prime example, the biggest example, 22 to 25-year-old Colossus having a crush on, cuddling and catering to Which, okay, yeah, you could say it's like more of like the cuddling and taking care of during a thunderstorm and making sure they're protected is like a big brother figure. But he went a little too far and started making out with her in the same issue that he was doing that Kitty Pryde when she was 15.
Fair. Fair.
He's anywhere from my age to 25 years old. And he's flirting and basically making out with a 15-year-old girl, which is not the wisest idea.
Yes.
And
But
then, 5 issues later, those two tried to get married, and Kitty Pryde ran on him on the altar.
see, that's one of the main things I had problem with the early X-Men movies as well. If you remember, it was a Rogue and Wolverine.
Yeah, my dad even brought that up today.
And the 2000 movie X-Men, she actually tries to kiss Wolverine,
Yep,
and he's like what 200 years old, and she's like
200 and
17.
like, because from what I remember reading is like he's 245 when he died in Logan. So yeah, about 200. I would say about like maybe 205.
And X-Men 1, yeah. So
But
like, I mean, there's several hints at underage dating in not only the movies but in the comics too.
which,
But if you
especially
can
like,
you can kind of look past it a little bit if you try not to get too engaged with it.
oh yeah. But again, it gets weird, especially with in the comics you have Colossus and Kitty, Rogue and Magneto,
Yeah, I didn't like that. I
which
don't
is
like that
funny
at all.
because so I started building a family tree inside my head like while we were talking, and almost every major X-Men person is related somehow.
Yes.
Like, okay, yeah, there's the technicality of, Apocalypse. Everybody's connected through Apocalypse. That's not what I mean. So think about it like this, okay? You have the Summers brothers. Scott, Jean, and Jean are married.
Correct.
Technically, I would you consider Jean the biological mother, or would you consider Madeline Pryor the biological mother of Cable?
I would say the clone would be
Okay,
the biological.
okay. So,
Because
but
technically, Jean got killed way before she was able to even conceive. So
exactly. So therefore, but I'm gonna say it's still Jean because it's her DNA.
okay.
But think with my logic real quick, okay? You have Madeline Pryor, aka
Yes.
Jean, who believes she is the true Jean, like how in the X-Men 97 said that.
Yes.
Okay. Then you have Cable. Cable's godfather is Deadpool. He's a mutate. But then you have Havoc, Scott's younger brother. He is married to Polaris, who is the daughter of Magneto, the sister of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Then,
Cable is Cyclops' son.
exactly. Then, okay, you have Magneto, who is best friends with Charles. Okay. So, obviously. Then you have at the same exact time, Magneto and Raven, Mystique, depending on which story you want to believe. If you want to go the new one where Mystique's his father of Nightcrawler, okay, but the original canon was that she was his mother.
Correct.
So there you got Magneto, and there's even the hints where turns out Magneto is the father of Nightcrawler. So therefore, Magneto is so Scott is the brother-in-law to Polaris, while she's also technically, like I said, depending on what you want to see, she is the sister to Kurt, who is also the foster and adopted brother of Rogue, who is married to Gambit. And Gambit, depending on which issue you read, is the is a clone of Mr. Sinister and Cyclops himself.
Correct. 100%.
And then turns out, actually, from what my dad was telling me, they made hints about it in the 80s and 90s. Bishop is actually the son of Gambit and Rogue.
That does not surprise me. Yeah.
So they're all connected somehow in family tree wise.
Yes. Here's another question I've wanting to ask you
All right.
that I wrote down. The difference in the suits over the years. Do you like the black leather or do you like the yellow spandex? Because me personally, I actually like the black leather more.
So this is where I would go with it. Okay. So if you're doing like main missions, like let's just say, okay, the Spider-Man 2 game. Have you played it yet?
Yes.
Okay. You see how that storyline played out. Just imagine that as the X-Men storyline. Okay. Imagine
Okay.
that as X-Men. All that graphic, all that knowledge of X-Men. Okay. Have them in Manhattan fighting. Okay. Yeah, wearing the yellow spandex. Oh, or Wolverine's iconic outfit. Okay, cool. That would work. But now there's missions where they go on where they have to be stealthy, and they're wearing the yellow spandex. Okay, no offense, but I see you, motherfucker. You know that's kind of a dead giveaway. But now, if you were to wear the black leather during your stealth missions, that would work. So I'm a
Okay.
fan of both. But if I had to pick, I'd pick the more newer costumes than the yellow spandex or the black leather. I'm in the middle. So like,
See, one of my things is the dark blue on the Cyclops' uniform from 97 kind of threw me off a little bit, but at
yeah,
the same time, I did like it. It just was kind of weird.
yeah,
But the costume Cyclops was wearing in Avengers versus X-Men comics, when
yeah,
he has the black suit, but he has like the red logo and then the red
exactly.
visor.
And
I love that.
the like little Racer X mask.
Yes, I freaking
Yeah,
love that
that's where I
mask.
was in the middle. Like if we were
That
to,
is that
that
is
would
my
be kind of
favorite costume.
that would
That is
be
my favorite.
interesting to see. That's interesting to see because even over the years, like they've upgraded the costume so much. Like Gambit originally went from trench coat to with a head sock to body armor to hey, I'm wearing my casual wear. I'm wearing my trench coat. I'm always carrying my bow staff. I always have my deck of cards. No more head sock when I'm fighting in battles.
Correct.
Then you have it with Rogue. Okay, she went from wearing always, the skin tight outfit to, hey, let me throw on this suit, like, this shirt, and throw on my leather jacket. All right, let's go.
Yes. Yes.
But one of the pros that I saw that they did for the X-Men, like, and I'm talking about just comic wise, because I've seen the only one that I could see that they actually did that with that was a good thing, but a lot of people hated the movie, New Mutants, was the support of the LGBTQ plus community.
I did like that movie quite a bit.
So did I.
It was supposed to be what happened right after Logan.
Actually, the funny thing is, it was actually supposed to take place in the middle of Logan.
Oh, okay.
From what I read, it was taking place in the middle of Logan. And so what happened is, okay, well, you have the aspect of it's happening in the middle of Logan, which is why they thought they were going to go with Charles Xavier. But, you know, but the girl worked for Nathaniel Essex, Mr. Sinister,
Yeah.
which, and so she was trying to get more mutant DNA to make more clones.
Correct. Yes.
And because the only reason Magic was there is because Colossus put her there under protection because of Charles's request.
Correct.
But either way, I liked it. Like hell, even the one movie I like of the X-Men that nobody really cared to like, which I get a lot of people kind of uproar about it. X-Men Origins Wolverine.
One of the best movies they ever made.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Like, yeah, okay. the retconning of Gambit's story. Understandable, had to fit the time period, had to fit the theme. You know, but do not get me wrong. I love the movie. I like Tyler Kirsch. He did a horrible job as Gambit, but he did a much better job than Channing
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Tatum.
We'll get to that. But I will say, so Ryan Reynolds' portrayal of Deadpool in that movie, people gave it so much hate. But if you think about it, 2 katanas coming out of your bare hands is pretty badass.
Oh yeah, like mm,
The one thing I did not like about it is how they were trying to combine all of the mutants into one specimen. So
yeah,
he had Cyclops' powers, he had Wolverine's powers, he had
which is
all these other
funny because
powers.
so
I did not like that.
that's where I'm kind of scratching my head on. Okay, so if you recognize in real, like, pay close attention, almost every power that um you know that version of Deadpool had, most of them were the dead mutants that Victor killed.
Correct.
How is
Except
Cyclops still alive if you know that Deadpool
because
had
they
his heat blast?
they probably just took some of his blood and put it or his DNA and just
Well, but again, why would you let him live?
didn't they break him out of the prison cell before he was supposed to be killed though?
No, well, no, they kept him locked up. Hell, apparently, Peter was in that movie. Like Quicksilver was in that movie too.
True.
But again, you have or not Gambit. You have Scott locked up, and yet you take you. It's like, oh, here, let me just do a you know,
Swab. A DNA
diabetes
swab.
finger prick. Oh, look, I got your DNA. Okay, now I'm putting it into the Deadpool. No, I'm sorry, but no, no. You killed Will I Am for his powers. You killed the one guy for his powers. You basically killed Wade.
Yeah.
Yeah, fill Wade up. Um, the only ones that from that crew that were left still alive was Sabretooth, Blob, and Logan. Besides Stryker, obviously.
Well, and then what's her face? She was still alive until the end.
Kayla.
Kayla, yeah,
Well,
until the
I'm talking
very
about
end
like
of the movie.
the original X Force crew.
Yes. True. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Why keep that one mutant alive?
Exactly. Give me a moment. But either way, it's like, okay, so not just that. Okay, the one thing that irritated me about that movie, besides, the whole that thing that I just mentioned that bugged me, Kayla. Okay, she all right, cool. Fine, whatever. Um, but in my honest opinion, they should not have made her Emma Frost's sister.
Agreed. Agreed. All right. Another question.
Go ahead.
Beast and Mystique's relationship and
First
First
class
Class
to
and
Dark Phoenix.
to Dark Phoenix and to Days of Futures Past.
So from Days of Future Past all the way to Dark Phoenix is what you're saying.
Yes, which is a major jump between each universe. Um, do
So
you like their relationship? Do you think it hindered the storyline? Do you think it built them to be stronger? Me
so
personally, I did like it. I liked it more than her relationship with Magneto because it felt like more wholesome. Kind of proved to me that like even though people see you a certain way, the way they see him as the Beast doesn't mean that everyone's gonna see you that way. Other
yeah.
people can see through the
So
bad and see the good.
yeah. So in my opinion of it, don't get me wrong, I loved it. It was good. But again, what so my big theory, because everybody has their own theory on how Beast turned blue. Oh, the cure didn't work. Oh, something got tampered with, because Havoc tampered with it, Yeah, everybody has their own theory. So my theory, because everybody already knew Raven's blood was blue, or not
Mm-hmm.
her blood, but her skin. And so if you think about it like this, Hank was trying to find a cure for him and Raven to have a normal life, right?
Correct.
He didn't use his own DNA. He used Raven's DNA.
Correct.
So, but he also injected himself with the same needle, saying he will inject himself at the same time, as long as Raven injects herself to make herself normal.
Yes.
So, what if her DNA caused Hank to get the blue fur, to adapt?
That's possible. I don't know. Hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah, but no, it's very interesting. By the way, how's space?
Oh, very good. I can hardly breathe up here.
Makes sense. I
All
mean,
right. Another question that made me think a lot during the comic book run of Avengers versus X-Men was who had the better tactical mind? Now it was proven who did in the end by the writers, and it was Stan Lee said they were right, but who had the better team tactical mind? Captain America of the Avengers or Cyclops of the Phoenix Five after the X-Men disbanded in that universe? Who had the better tactical mind from your perspective? And then I'll
from
tell
my
you
perspective, it would be
what they
Cyclops.
said.
It would be Cyclops.
He did have the better tactical mind.
So the
He's
reason,
also
well, so let me give my reasoning first. So my reasoning is because, well, think about it like this, okay? Cyclops has worked with that team for far too long. He was a founding member. He helped create that team and make the team and understand the team inside and out. He knew their
correct.
weaknesses. He knew their strengths. He understood everything, and I mean everything about his team. He knew what they couldn't handle. He knew what they could handle. So he worked with them and worked around it for them to do it. So what happened is Scott had the upper hand on knowledge and power with his team. Cap, okay, yes, at that time, yes, he's been around for what, like technically 13, or like I would say about
25 years.
45 years. So, and yeah, okay, he understands his team, but let's be honest. Okay, let's be honest. Does he really understand how Tony works or how Tony thinks? No.
No.
Did he understand how any of them thought and thinks or thought?
Well, and that's another part of the big argument in the comic books was like you're human. The Avengers are humans. We are mutants. You
I'm
guys
not
only
talking.
fight.
I'm taking that out. I'm actually taking that part out. Scott is still technically human, though. Think about it like this. Okay, take out the mutant abilities. Take out the super soldier serum. Okay. Take away Iron Man suit of armor. Okay, it's basically like you and me. Okay, we sit down with Jackson. Okay, or like tonight. Okay, me, you, and two of my buddies are going to be playing Fortnite, right?
Right.
Okay, we're all going to be on call, but I know how those two play, and I know how you play. You don't. You know how two of us play, but you don't know how the other one plays because you haven't played with him yet.
Correct.
So it would basically be like asking, okay, who's the better team leader, you or him? Well, because you don't know how he's played, your honest opinion, it would be like, okay, it's me because I played with two of these guys. I understand how these guys think. I know how they work, and I know how to expect it. I know what they're gonna expect. I know what to expect. But now it's basically like you asking, okay, our squad versus everybody else we're gonna fight. Who's gonna be better, them or us? Well, okay, take out the powers, take out the guns, just sit down and have a normal conversation. Well, guess what? That don't mean nothing because as long as you know your team inside and out, their weaknesses, their strengths, their ability to put forth the effort, you will win. Cap doesn't know Iron Man that. Like, yeah, he knew Iron Man for like 45 years, basically.
Mhm.
Technically, in comics, it would be like, what, like 10 years at that point?
10 to 15 years, yeah.
Yeah,
But when that happened, yeah.
yeah. But again, he knows more about Howard and knows more of Howard in the movie. Like, if this was movie wise, he knows more about Howard than he knew about Tony.
Agreed.
He knew, okay, prime example. He knows more of Bucky inside and out. And Logan, he knows Logan inside and out better than he knows Tony, better than he knows Natasha, better than he knows.
Bruce.
Exactly. Now, Bruce knows everything about uh, Steve inside and out because why? He researched.
He
Tony,
did.
it's okay. I'm done.
Well, Tony didn't want to even hear about it, remember? Because his dad apparently said he talked to him every day. In his own words, my dad wouldn't freaking shut up about you.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about movies. I'm even talking about that comics. Tony would
Yeah.
just go, "Oh, so Popsicle's joining the team." Okay,
Yep, pretty much.
it's like he just toss it away and be like, it don't fucking matter. Fuck this. Fuck you. You know. And to Tony, it didn't really matter. So again,
All right. Now, this comes down to a very good question here. And I hope this doesn't upset your girlfriend when I ask you this.
go ahead.
What X-Men would you date?
Ooh, honestly, so if I could, I'd date X-23, but that'd be a little too scary. Rogue, even then, that would be still too scary. But if I had to pick between my top three, it would be Rogue, X-23, and Psylocke.
Okay.
Well,
See,
Psylocke, because imagine how interesting it would be just to be around her with her power set.
and let me make this a little bit better. So when I'm saying date wise, let's just hypothetically say they're all of legal age. Okay, we'll just put it that way.
Well,
If we put
technically,
them
X-23
all,
is okay. So if we're gonna go like that, my big question is, okay, are we going like canonic for X-23 example? Canonically, like legitimately, she's like what, 5, 6 years old, but she has the body and mental capacity of an 18, 19-year-old woman. So where are we going? Are we going mental because like of X-23 or like actuality?
in Deadpool and Wolverine, she seemed to be pretty functional as an 18, 19-year-old.
Which that's her mental state. But you also have to remember, technically she's a clone of Wolverine, so she's not the same age as a newborn infant.
Yeah,
She was made in a lab.
like Homelander.
Exactly.
See,
Or is
who,
X-23 be off limits in this scenario?
let's take her out of the scenario then.
Okay, that's
But
fair.
for me, my top three would be Scarlet Witch,
That's a good
Kitty
choice.
Pryde,
Good choice.
and then honestly Emma Frost.
Honestly, those are good choices.
I don't
Okay.
know why, and I hate saying this. Please forgive me. I feel like Emma Frost can be really kinky.